Hey everyone, Todd from SideshowFX once again, and in this video I'm going to give you a rundown of our Logic Pro MIDI Controller for Stream Deck devices package. Now I assume that you've gone through the PDF that was included in the download and followed the instructions on the installation there, or you've watched our installation video, and if you have not, I have the link in the description below. But once you're set up, this is the main page that you're presented with. Now I'm going to be demonstrating this on an XL device. Most of the functions are available on the 15 key, so you can follow along with no problem here. So on the main page, this is what you're presented with. The first thing I'm going to do is draw your attention to this middle row of keys, because this is the track selection area, and it represents tracks 1 through 8 that can be selected at the press of a button. So you can see we're cycling through, pressing different tracks, and it responds in our Logic Pro interface. Now when we select a track, we're able to control different parts of that track, such as invoking mute, solo, read, and write. In addition, when our track is selected, this fader control will now control the volume of the selected track. So pressing it up and down moves the fader in Logic up and down. And we also get the same digital readout on the key. And of course our master control here will control our master fader. Now you may find that the response of this fader is either too quick or too slow for your uses. So this is adjustable, and I'll show you how to do that. So we'll pop out of Logic here, go to your Stream Deck software, and with your profile loaded here, and these are the selection fader keys right here. So clicking on it, you'll see in this dialog down here, there's a slider that allows us to adjust the fader speed. So let's say if it was too fast for us, we'll move it down to about here, and you want to do the same thing with the bottom, because the top key will move the fader control up and the bottom key moves it down. So you want to have them about the same. So we'll have them about the same speed there. So when you go back into Logic, go over to our Stream Deck, now you see the fader control is a lot slower than it was. And you can do that for any of the faders that you're going to see in this profile. I showed that these can select tracks 1 through 8. Well, what if you have more than 8 tracks, like I do in this project? Well, that's where our bank buttons come in. Bank to the right will take us to the next bank of 8 tracks. Pressing it once, you can now see that strings through piano are now selected. Pressing it one more, because I'm still not at the end of the amount of tracks that I have, will then slide it to reach the very end of our available tracks. Shows our stereo out and our master at the end, as you can see here. And of course, bank back takes us back the same way. Now the track buttons here, they will just select the next track one at a time. So going forward and going back. Now rounding out the rest of this page of the profile, there are some transport controls at the bottom here. There's an add audio track, an add instrument track. Up along the top here is an LCD display that can show 70 time, or it can show beats and bars. A metronome switch. And this key here will open up our console page and open up a few more pages for us. So switching over to this, we're now presented with our mixer console page. And this will allow us to control, in this case, tracks 1 through 8. And these are the dedicated faders for each one of those, and indicated with the name at the bottom here, and the name's also reflected here. So controlling our fader bars, just like that. And of course, we have access to solo any one of the tracks. And the bank functions work the same way as they do in the selected track area. Bank will now present us with the next bank of 8 tracks that we have fader control over. Bank back takes us back to tracks 1 through 8. couple of transport controls. And now this key here is our mute solo arm page. Clicking on that gives us a new page and gives us tracks, in this case 1 to 8, with solo, mute, and arm capability. In addition, a couple transport controls and a record function. Go back one page, and the next page over is our pan page. Of course, once again, tracks 1 through 8, allowing us access to the pan functions. So the bottom pots will move it counterclockwise, so we're panning left, and the top button will move clockwise to pan right. Now, one additional troubleshooting note you might encounter is that occasionally you might find that the Stream Deck stops being responsive. The MIDI controls aren't working anymore, and you get error messages like this, or even the graphics don't show up, where you'll see a MIDI symbol showing that the graphics are offline. Now, this is a known problem with how Stream Deck uses MIDI, and it hasn't been fixed yet. But there is a very simple workaround to avoid this happening, and that is you should always try and have your Stream Deck directly connected to your computer. So don't use a USB hub. Go straight from the Stream Deck into the computer, and that tends to make a much more stable MIDI connection. So if you have to go through a USB hub, you probably are going to find that this will occasionally go offline on you. So the fix to get everything back online is very simple. You just go back to Stream Deck software, go back into the store, and into plugins, search for the MIDI again, click uninstall, wait for it to do the uninstall process, and then immediately install it again. Now, you may find you'll have to restart Stream Deck. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So when you go back to your application, you'll find that things will work as they did before. But once again, the best approach is to make a direct connection from the Stream Deck to the computer and avoid using a USB hub for its connection. So that's it. That's all you need to know. I hope it really helps in your workflow and makes your life in the studio a lot easier. Thanks once again. We'll talk to you soon.